Let's now turn to the news at the top of the hour, the UN Security Council meeting, where the United States and Russia are set to face off on the world stage. Of course, it comes as tens of thousands of Russian troops are standing by on the Ukrainian border, and that's where Holly Williams reports from.
On any given Saturday, on the outskirts of Ukraine's capital, these volunteers do a quick warm-up before they're put through their drills, training to fight in case there's a Russian attack.
I know Russian very well.
Oleksiy Vasilchenko works in marketing and told us he served in the Soviet army before Ukraine gained its independence from Moscow just over 30 years ago.
If you want a peace, you should be prepared to war.
Many here are urban professionals. There are military veterans and new recruits, many armed only with these stand-in plywood rifles. Ukrainians are determined to defend their homeland, but they're massively outgunned and outnumbered by their colossal neighbour. Russia's been moving fighter jets and missile systems into Belarus on Ukraine's northern border. Russia says for military exercises. Moscow maintains it has no plans to invade, but that doesn't explain the roughly 100,000 Russian troops on Ukraine's border. Back in the forest, they're keeping up their fitness and practicing for urban warfare.
Everywhere here is our land, so we have to defend it.
Oleksiy Ilyushin is a criminal lawyer.
It makes me angry, but it's not like, what am I going to do? It makes me angry, like, to prepare myself, you know.
The US says a Russian invasion of Ukraine could be horrific, but there's still time for Russia's President Vladimir Putin to change course. Anne-Marie and Vlad.
All right, Holly, thank you. For more on the situation, we want to head to the Pentagon, where David Martin is standing by. So, David, the UN Security Council is meeting. What can we expect from that meeting today?
Well, don't expect any action because Russia has veto power over anything that happens at the Soviet Union. So this will be a debate in which the U.S. and its allies will lay out the case against Russia, against the Russian buildup, against the threat to Ukraine. And it's one more venue in which the U.S. can highlight what it considers to be this unreasonable behavior by Russia.
So, David, the President of the United States says he's going to deploy troops in the near term, quote, in the near term. What does that mean? And are these troops on the ground there once they get there to prepare to fight?
Well, I think he is probably referring to troops that are already in Europe. He's not referring to the 8,600 that have been put on alert back here in the United States. But there are some 60,000 U.S. troops in Europe which can be moved from places in Western Europe up closer to Russia in NATO members that are located in Eastern Europe. And he qualified that. He said in the near term, and then he said not a lot, because here's his dilemma. He doesn't want to do anything that would give Russia an excuse to invade Ukraine. And if he put too many U.S. troops up on the border with Russia could then make the argument that this is a threat and they have to respond. So these would be tripwire forces, not enough to stop Russia from going into, say, Poland or Romania, just enough to be there so that Russia knows that if it tries to go into those countries, which are members of NATO, they're going to be taking on the United States.
I suppose if there's going to be a little bit of a silver lining, it's that at least the U.S. and Russia are still talking. They are, I presume, attempts at diplomacy. We know that the Secretary of State has a call scheduled with a Russian foreign defense minister. Do we know anything more about that call?
Well, it's keeping diplomacy alive, and that's better than not keeping it alive, but you don't know whether Russia is simply running out the string here while it completes its buildup along all of the borders of Ukraine. Russia has more than enough troops there now if it wants to go in and do a limited operation But the way U.S. intelligence sees it, they don't have enough yet to go in there for a full-scale, take the whole country invasion. They're rapidly approaching that point, but they're not there yet. So the question is Russia just coming up with these requests for clarification on this and that to run out the string while it continues the buildup to run out the string while Vladimir Putin goes to Beijing for a summit meeting and the opening of the Olympics on February 4th? Or is there really a hope that diplomacy can still figure a way out of here?
All right, David Martin, thank you very much, David.
Thank you.